Hello and welcome to the Imagine AI Live podcast. I'm your host for this event, Chêrénique, and we are coming to you from New York City at the Cornell Tech University campus. So I have a very special guest with me here today. I have Alex. Hello, welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now?
Sure. My name is Alex Lee. I'm the founder of Kazka AI Consulting, and we focus on helping small and medium businesses adopt AI. And that can be anything from helping their business roll out ChatGPT for all their employees, or building custom solutions that really solve some of their business pain points or automate some of those everyday tasks that just shouldn't be done by people.
Go into a little more detail about how you work with your clients, what it looks like for them to interact with you.
I really like to build a lot of empathy with my clients. I really want to understand their business from the leadership perspective as well as from their employees' perspective. I do a lot of interviews, both on the leadership side, and really there I focus on what's keeping them up at night and what's holding back their business from growth. And then I talk to the employees. I talk about their day-to-day, their workflow, what frustrates them, what they think can be automated. And then I do an audit of their tools, processes, and data. And then I take my understanding of generative AI, specifically large language models, and I come up with the problem areas and a roadmap where we should figure out what are these custom areas that we should be solving, and how are they going to impact their business from a bottom line, from a productivity standpoint. And all of that is just done through what I would call back to is just a lot of empathy.
So when you've talked to so many different people in business, have you kind of seen a lot of similarities in the pain points that people have, or is it just wide across the board different things?
I would say some of the similarities are people don't know how to value productivity. It's a bit of a hard one because a lot of the benefits that generative AI can give us is in the space of productivity, especially in how we work and get stuff done. So what I've learned is that from industry to industry, from business to business, the value of productivity is different. In education, the value of productivity is teacher burnout. It's the difference between a teacher ending their day at 4:30 or staying up late after dinner, grading and creating a lesson plan.
Yeah.
In fleet management, it's the difference in customer experience. If a dispatcher is not productive and they're distracted, they may not route their routes properly. For a creative agency, productivity is actually the bottom line, right? So if every hour they save is actually hitting their revenue.
And what about for yourself personally, whether it's in business or other things outside of work, how do you implement AI in what you're working on?
I'm the type of person that will spend 2 days to make a 5-minute task go away. So I think when in my previous career at Google, why I really succeeded as a product manager is because I got along with developers. And my favorite type of developer is the laziest type of developer, because I know they will go out of their way to do the same thing. They'll spend days to make a 5-minute task go away. So I pride myself on just experimenting a lot, using a lot of the tools that I recommend to my partners, and really exploring, failing forward and taking learnings, and then trying to pass on as many of those learnings to my partners.
How did you get introduced to the Imagine AI Live community?
So I originally went to the Las Vegas Imagine AI.
Nice.
And initially on the flight over, I was like, oh man, this might be like too small. Did I make a mistake in coming here? I have a limited budget for doing this type of stuff. And I ended up loving it. The fact that I think a lot of the times during that event, people called it like a Woodstock moment where a community just felt natural there. And so after that event, I had reached out to Steve and told him I need to be a part of this going forward.
Well, we're glad you're here. So we're here at this college campus, and university education is a hot topic with the implementation of AI. So what would you say to university students who are just maybe thinking about entering university or already in, and how they can implement and integrate AI and tech into their education?
I would encourage them to think about it as a way for them to ask questions differently. I think one of the main things I've learned from interacting with ChatGPT and Claude for so long is that I actually prompt, quote unquote, or ask questions in a very different way than I used to. And it's giving me a new perspective in how when we talk to one another, we are a bit of a black box to each other.
Yes.
Right. And so being a little bit more vulnerable and actually opening up will take us much further. And you can apply that in how you interface with AI as well.
Yeah.
The more you open up a little bit about yourself, the better results you're going to get.
Yeah. So what are your fears for AI moving forward, or the biggest challenges you see in it?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different fears. I think there's the greatest fear of artificial superintelligence is going to take over the world. It's a valid fear. And I do personally want to believe, and I do believe that the people working on a lot of the forefront technology have good intentions in mind. And I think that alignment and being able to harness for the power of good and really applying values into action, I think is going to be most important. I think from a general other fear is people who don't understand the technology end up succumbing to those fears instead of trying to learn more about it.
Yes.
Where they're unable to overcome their initial fear because they don't take the time to learn something.
Yeah.
And it's when you don't understand how something works, that's when you're most afraid. And if you can't get over that, that's hard. And so in my work, I spend a lot of time on education. It's very important for me because our company's mission is approachable, beneficial, and safe AI for all. And the first step in that really is education.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, what do you think are the biggest benefits, or what are your hopes for AI moving forward?
One of my biggest hopes for AI is to really let people become better business owners. I am a firm believer that there's this concept of a 20-person business being able to make $5 million, $10 million in annual recurring revenue. I think the productivity gains that we get from using all these generative AI tools just help us do things more faster, better, higher quality, and really just be more productive. And I think having these small teams establish these businesses with less, but earn more and make more impact in their communities and the world, I think is probably one of the most exciting things.
Yeah, very exciting to look forward to what it can do for sure. Are there any exciting projects or new tools that you've used that you can tell us a little bit about?
Sure. This one might seem a little basic, but I've actually recently made the switch from ChatGPT to Claude.
Ah, yes.
So that's been a bit of a hot topic. And I like to use all of them. And when I talk to my partners, I recommend they actually experiment with all of them as well, because each chat tool is going to have its own worldview, because it will be inherently biased by its creators, by the creators' values and how they brought it up. But for me personally, I've really been enjoying working in Claude, especially the 3.5 Sonnet, because I feel like it understands me better and it understands my intent better. I spend less time guiding it and more time having a conversation with it, which I find much more rewarding. It's
interesting you brought up Claude, because I recently was doing a little experiment between ChatGPT and Claude, and I asked them about each other and which one's better. And they lied about each other a little bit. There was some deception. I think it was GPT said about Claude that it was only good for writing poetry and doing kind of fluffy stuff, which I know like maybe in the origination it had started that way, but that's not its only use anymore. And this was pretty recent. So yeah, it was interesting to ask it about each other.
I've actually done the same exact thing, and I'm pretty sure I got the same answer. Yeah. But what I also found interesting, I'm not sure if you got this, but both of them mentioned how Claude and Anthropic is a much more ethical company. Even ChatGPT said that, and Claude said that, and I was like, very interesting.
Yeah, all right then. So I have one last question for you today. It's been a great conversation. If there's someone out there watching this thinking about attending the next Imagine AI live event, what would you say to them?
I would say do it and come with curiosity. I'm a big believer in following your curiosity. That's what I've done across my entire career. It's how I've had multiple careers. And every time I take the next step, I lead with my curiosity. So if you're coming here, come with an open mind, come with curiosity, and I think you'll walk away much more satiated.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and please enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
That's one small step for man.